My name is Lynn, with my partner Steve from the UK. We bought a 300-year-old stone farmhouse and olive grove in Abruzzo, Italy, that we call Brambletie. Brambletie is situated just outside a small village overlooking the Adriatic Sea and the Maiella National Park. We've taken on the restoration and renovation of Brambletie ourselves to become our future home. We'd love you to come along with us whilst we learn new skills, a new language, live the lifestyle and explore the region with our dog Button.
Dated take off. The speed is OD.
That this is one of the trees that we're in the stages of doing. We've almost completed it. Every year we prune the trees, and the important part of it is to open this up so that we have plenty of sunlight coming in and the olives have a chance to grow. So the thing is, it really looks like it's had a bad haircut at this moment in time. The trees are actually about 50 years old, and looking at this tree you can't imagine what kind of yield that you might get from it, but our trees get roughly about sort of 30 to 50 kilos of olives off every tree that we've got. Now that's in a good year. There are a few problems that can arise during the growing, and one of those is a fruit fly. The fruit fly can actually attack the trees. Well, it's not actually the tree that it attacks, it's the actual olive. You can look at the tree and think, wow, the tree is full of lovely olives. They're growing, they're getting green, and then from green they go to sort of like a reddy black colour, and they look amazing. And then you look at it a little closer and you see this tiny little dot. Now that's where the fruit flies actually attacked it. And if you open it up inside, the likelihood is there's a maggot there. And there is no way that we could even consider, and obviously the Frantoias would not consider pressing those olives.
Frantoia is what then?
Oh yes, the Frantoia is another name for the place where we go and press the olives, the olive press place, which they've become really good friends. There's a story about that, but we can tell you that another day.
Also, you've got the olive knot.
Ah, yeah, but just to finish off the fruit fly, Steve, that happens twice a year. It's generally around the June time and around the October. So you've got to keep an eye on that, and it can just depend on the temperature. And the other thing, as Steve's mentioned, there is also what's called an olive knot. You can't see it on any of our trees.
That's not exactly true, Lynn. Yeah, this is an example of olive knot. This one here.
Oh yeah, just underneath here.
Yeah, if you can put your finger there, and I'll try and get the camera on it.
Okay. Now the olive knot is to do with how the tree absorbs the water, I believe.
Something to do with that.
Yep. But basically, if you can imagine, you've knocked your finger and you get a manky finger and it goes all yuck.
Yeah.
That's what happens to the branches.
Yeah, it's like a crustacean that grows on the tree, and there's not much getting off it. Getting it off, you have
to amputate.
No, it needs to be cut off or sliced off, or you can't. You've really got to get the whole branch off though, but not one of these big branches. So that section there. To be fair,
we need to trim these a bit.
To be fair, I would say with a soft cut saw is cut that whole lot off. because
If
this
anybody
is,
knows different, they have to tell us.
well, you're going to get different advice from just about every Italian in the village, to be honest with you. But I would say cut this off what the advice I've been given is cut this off cleanly, because obviously what's growing on here is not where we want the growing to really happen. And obviously we've got a branch coming off here that's doing no good at all. It looks like that's had a long time to grow, but in fact that'll be just one season's growth, this thickness. They grow like bilio, and obviously it's growing in the wrong direction. We want them to grow outwards, away from the centre, but they don't want to cross over.
Yeah, there's almost an example of something crossing over here, look, with these two.
So
Just see.
those two there, you'd think, well, you've cut everything off, but in fact one of them has to come off as well.
One of them has to. So really, that sort of pruning time is kind of now. It's really, some people prune after they've actually harvested their olives, which is in November, but not many do. The time for most people to prune is in that April, sort of May time, when they're pruning as such. And especially this year, as we said, we had the snow damage, so we've had bigger branches that we have to deal with. So, you know, this is only one of our trees. Hopefully Steve will be able to show you an aerial view of the trees, and you'll be able to see how messy some of them actually look, how bad their hair is looking, and how much they need a haircut. And when we can actually come back to the olive trees, maybe in a couple of months' time, you'll see how much they've actually grown, because they do. So, we produce our own olive oil. It's quite a task, actually, collecting all the olives, which we do in November.
Can I just take you back to the cutting?
Oh, yes.
I know that you spoke about removing the branches from the inside of the tree to get that canopy, like an umbrella. They want it, don't they, the Italians? Just talk about the kind of branches that you're going to take off, the different types.
Well, the fact is, you have to remove the branches that are going to grow inwards, definitely, because that's no good. That's going to actually ruin your canopy effect. So anything that was growing inwards, which you can see some here that would grow inwards, they've got to come off. Branches that cross over, that's not good, because what ends up happening is, as the branches start to grow, they end up getting tangled and twisted.
And you can't get the olive picking machine through it.
And that's actually something really worthwhile mentioning, Steve.
That's why I mentioned it.
We've got an olive picking machine. We've actually got two, and if I can describe it as, right, okay, here goes. I'll try my best. If I had lots of fingers, and I'm like this, if these fingers were as long as chopsticks, if you can imagine, I've got about, 15 chopsticks this side, 15 chopsticks this side. And what happens is, they kind of do this. So what they do is, they go, Steve will hold it, and it will go like this, down the branches of the tree. And as it's going down the branches of the tree, these wonderful bunches of olives are falling. And they're falling on a net. And generally that's where I'm underneath and getting ping pong, ping pong, ping pong on the top of my head.
Do you want to mention the solar power we use to?
Oh yeah, and the good thing is, when we do our olives, we've got a small solar panel, and Steve actually uses that solar panel attached to a car battery.
Yep.
And we operate all of our, picking tool with the solar panel.
Yeah, if you've got a sunny day all day long.
It's fantastic.
Now you copy what I'm saying. If you've got a sunny, because I'll cut this part out. If you've got a sunny day, for a good 6 to 7 hours, that battery will last all day long.
Right, and if you've got a sunny day, this little solar panel that we've got and the battery will last more or less all day long, between 6 and 7 hours.
Nobody does it like that here.
It's quite funny, because when we've actually mentioned it to Italian friends, or they've popped over while we've been picking the olives just to see what we're up to, they go, "What are you doing?" You know, as we have our wheelbarrow wheeling our solar panel and our battery on it for Steve to use. And it's just amazing. You know, the fact is, we've got fabulous sun, so why don't we use it?
But we're using the same, so it's completely free to use.
Yeah, and it's so consequently, we're picking our olives with the solar panel. It's not the only way that you pick the olives. you used to pick the olives with, a lot of people might just do it with their hands like this, and they would fall, but I tell you what, it's going to take some time. The other way of doing it, it's almost like a plastic fork with fingers like this, and you can have a little short one, and you just do this, you can claw it. I should have got that out and showed you as a tool actually, but we were showing cutting tools and pruning tools, not the tools for doing the olives. So that's that, and then you can get them attached to long poles so you can reach a little bit higher.
But we can show them that when it's pruning time.
Yeah, when it's pruning time. And of course, you know, we're going to show you how the olives are pressed, because it's absolutely amazing, the process. Totally organic, and for us, we use olive oil all the time for everything. And you know, it's just wonderful.
So the olive oil is cold pressed by mechanical means, and it's pressed under a 40-ton press, but at an extremely slow rate,
Yeah.
without heat.
And it all just trickles down. I think the other thing is, when I said we use the olive oil for everything, Button gets a tiny bit of olive oil on her food every day, and her coat is nice and shiny. My granddaughter, they use the olive oil for her little cradle cap as well. Olive oil is used for everything. It's amazing. And you talk to the people in the village, you say, oh, I'm not so sure about this. They go, spoonful of olive oil, take the spoonful of olive oil.
I think that accounts for the average age being about 95 in the village.
We're not quite that age yet, so maybe we continue to take our olive oil and we might reach that age. So, do you think I've covered as much as we can, Steve, on this?
Okay, this would be take 3. Okay.
Well, as you can see, we've displayed all of the tools that we actually use for pruning the trees. There's actually quite a lot when you look. For some reason, Steve has asked me to actually explain all of the tools to you.
Well, that's because you're roving reporter.
Well, I am the roving reporter, but you do realise that the roving reporter actually has to ask other people for the important knowledge.
Yeah, but that's exactly right. But this is widening your experience and giving you another arrow to your quiff.
Now that I'm sort of, you know, multi-talented person, I can start with the secateurs, everybody. Have you got it? Steve, was it a pair of secateurs I've got?
Tick.
Tick. Okay, so we've got the secateurs, which you've all got at home. And obviously, secateurs, literally, for trimming the smaller bits. And also the tiny, tiny little bits that start to grow out of the olive tree.
Didn't your spring fall out this morning?
Oh yeah, my spring fell out this morning. Might have to get a new pair of secateurs, so that might be on the list. New pair of secateurs for me, Steve. And I don't want it for my birthday. You know, I don't like tools for my birthday.
Oh.
Okay, this little sword, I believe, I've never used it, Steve uses it, is really just for cutting soft wood.
Yeah, but it's a decent piece of kit.
Oh yes, look, we've got a nice name on this. It's called Steel, actually. There's a story behind that, because people sometimes call Steve Steel.
Yeah, it's got a stay sharp blade on that as well.
Right, do I have to do... Oh yes, there's a special thing I have to do.
And
I think I'll just leave it there for everybody to
And
look at.
there's a lock on it, so it doesn't flip back on you.
I realised that, sweets, when I tried to do it.
But it does a nice cut, and it could replace all those tools, to be fair enough.
What,
but,
this one little blade?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, you see the local farmers using just something like that, not quite as good quality.
Wow, I can't believe it.
But they use something like that and something a little bit longer. In the olden days, they wouldn't have had the machines, you see.
No. The next machine that we're going to look at, this is also for softer wood, would you agree?
Not necessarily softer wood.
No. Maybe I got that wrong then.
Yeah, well, if you can tell the viewers what it is first.
Okay, this is a wood chopper, yes? Have I got that right?
We did give it a name, didn't we?
Well, it's the reciprocal...
Yeah, do you remember our production meeting we had? Sorry, folks.
I'm so sorry. It's something like the reciprocal thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that was what you were supposed to say to remember it. So it's called...
Reciprocator.
Yeah, you've got the word. You've got the word now.
We've got the reciprocator, everybody.
Just wait.
Yes, can you see? A wood chopper reciprocator.
Yeah. It's a reciprocating saw, that's what it is.
Okay.
And wait a minute. And it takes its own blades. So if you could just explain the blades for us, because these are quite special for this purpose.
We have Kanga, And these blades,
I'm sure that says Kango.
Kango, not kangaroo, Kango. Anyway, these are the reciprocating blades.
I knew this was going to be fun.
No, I've got it wrong. I tell you what, there's a mug here that's been a cup of tea that was drunk earlier. I can do that one. But anyway, these are the spare blades. Now comes to the dodgy tool.
But they're specific for wood.
Specific for wood, everybody?
Wait a minute, you're too quickly on the...
Specific for wood. Specific for wood.
Yeah, and they last quite a long time.
When you say they last a long time, does it actually say on here how long they last?
Well, no, that depends on how many
trees you're going to cut.
How much you use.
Okay.
But we'll get through...
We'll get through quite a few of these blades.
We'll get through about 30 trees with one blade.
Oh, right, so...
Yeah, it might stay sharp after that as well.
It looks like this is a fairly new blade that you've just put in.
I just put a brand new blade in for you so you could read it.
I thought so. Now we're coming to the big equipment, is that right?
Well,
the chainsaw.
The chainsaw.
Right, okay. I'm coming to the chainsaw, which I have never used. This one's actually quite heavy and very nice. Husqvarna Chainsaw. Steve does try and clean all his tools when he puts them away and is very good with it. And I'm going to turn it round to show you a few things that I have got some information on. If I look here, there are two little, I suppose it's a cap really. This one's got a tiny little picture showing it's really fuel for it. And the fuel that we use is the petrol, and it's mixed at 50-1. Oh, that was good that you wrote that on there for me, wasn't it? I can remember it.
The thing is, you have all different types of petrol for different machines, and if you don't write it on there, you don't know what petrol you've got for what machine.
Okay, so the 50-1 goes in here, and then the other, let me just check, is the Lubrichain.
Yeah. So
correct? Husqvarna Lubrichain.
So that's the actual oil for the piece of kit.
Can I just ask? I've just noticed there's like a little bubble here. I've never seen that before. What's that for?
If you push that.
Nothing drastic will happen.
Push it.
Will it?
Not now.
Oh, sugar. You did say push it.
Yeah. What is it? What you do is when you're starting the machine up, you push that 6 times to get the fuel going through the carburettor.
Oh, right. So,
and what that does is it easily starts the machine.
So what's actually in that bubble?
Fuel, that's where the fuel's going through.
Oh, great. Oh, so I have actually learnt something. And, of course, get ready, the choppers.
Yeah.
Did you get it? The choppers. I do tend to use these a lot. I had a pair of these at home, actually, which have an extension on them. These ones don't. These are just normal length. So you've probably seen me climbing up a tree to get a few of the branches. You know, obviously, these will only cut sort of branches that I would say sort of maximum like these.
More than that.
Yeah, more than that. Well, depends on what kind of force you've got, Steve.
Half to 3/4 of an inch you'll get through with those.
Yeah.
But don't put them down yet.
Oh, okay.
They're a decent piece of kit. They're going to cost you about €70.
Should I cut something?
If you can just let me.
Yeah, sorry.
These are made by Fiscus. Let me tell you, folks, if you get a rubbish pair of these, they're going to last you about an hour. These we've had now for 2 or 3 years, and if Lynn doesn't break them, I'll be able to talk about them a little bit more. They're fantastic. They do a great job. To be honest, the extensions you get with these, they're not that great, and it's best to use a pair of A-frame ladders.
Oh, is that why the pair that we had in the UK were not very good?
I don't know. Nobody's really...
what, the extension ones?
Nobody's really got any finesse with that locking system, and eventually it wears and you get fed up with it, and then what you see is tape around the handles. You might just see Button's just joined us.
Oh,
which is quite nice. So she's going to take a little time out underneath the olive tree. Couldn't be a nicer life for her, to be honest with you. It's
very
about
relaxing.
Should be about 25 degrees out here today.
Now I've hopefully explained some of the tools that we actually use. Oh, there's another tool that we actually use. We use a wheelbarrow to get all of these branches. As you can imagine, what we end up doing is we let the branches dry off a little bit in the sun, and we are allowed to have a fire in the sort of agricultural area where we are. But then after the end of May, we wouldn't be allowed to have any fires or anything.
No, just get too hot.
But some of this wood will also do for our sort of log burner that we've actually got. We will keep some of it, and it'll be useful for the log burner. I think really, is that it on the tools, Steve? Would you say so?
Yeah, I think so. You didn't do a bad job, actually. A little bit more research next time
okay.
on your...
Shall I run through it again?
Not really.
Or should I put a tablecloth over it and say, can you remember what was underneath?
No, I think the viewers have got that. But
you think so?
they'll get on with it. Okay,
All right. I've removed the cup of tea. If you've liked what you've seen today, please press that like button. If you haven't already subscribed to us and you found us amusing, whatever, please subscribe to us. It helps the channel grow, and
Doesn't cost anything.
no, it doesn't cost anything, but we'd also love to see you again. And we do make a point of replying to every single comment that we get, and we've had some fantastic comments, so keep those comments coming. I shall take off my gloves and say mwah, goodbye to you all, and see you next time. Subscribe, ding that bell, do the ticks.